fugitive task force is at the door. I hear dogs barking out there, pounding to basically get in the room, arrest me. And I pull my gun out, and, my intent was I'm going out like suicide by cop, or I didn't know, what I was going to do, but I knew that I'm okay with what is going to happen next.
Welcome to the Dr. Junkie Show. I'm Ben Boyce. Today, I have another conversation with a previously incarcerated student who's doing some cool work in the community here in Denver. Geordan Morris was part of the CU Denver's Strategic Communication Program, which we ran at a number of Colorado prisons from 2020 to 2023. He was released just a few months ago, but he's already working in the community to help people like us, addicted, arrested, convicted, traumatized, struggling, to help us recover and to help us redefine recovery on our own terms. We weave a pathway today through childhood trauma and a child's need to be loved by their parents, onto addiction and crime, and eventually something like redemption in the eyes of the system. One quick spoiler, or teaser maybe, Geordan and I are both members of the We Shot Ourselves Accidentally Club, so stay tuned to hear more about that story along the way. With that, I give you Geordan Morris.
I want to try to start at the beginning and just paint a little bit of background. How'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I guess I would start growing up, right? So when I was 7, I got adopted by my adoptive family. Prior to that, I actually remember this pretty vividly, but driving in a U-Haul, my biological mom ends up getting pulled over. We're actually in the back of the U-Haul, like in the, yeah,
Oh God,
in like the drop part. But we get pulled over. We had just crossed state lines into Colorado, and she has a roach in the ashtray, and 2 cops end up pulling up. They put her in the first car, and hours later tell us to get into the car behind her. It was me and my 2 sisters. We actually end up getting into all in sync. We just read each other's mind. As soon as we started passing our biological mom, we stopped. We all looked at each other, and we opened the doors to the other cop and jumped in, and they couldn't get us out. But anyway, that leads her to do some federal time. She goes to prison. We end up going into foster care.
What was the charge?
It was I'm exactly not sure what the charge was.
But something was going on, and you guys just happened to be.
Exactly.
It wasn't just the child endangerment, although I'm sure they probably didn't like that.
Yeah, so she ends up going to the feds, and then we go into foster care. So I end up landing in beautiful home. Man, I pull up to this house. I look around. I'm like, what the heck? Because I'm used to living on the streets. I actually have memories of standing on the corner with my mom while she's asking for money. So I pull up to this house, beautiful house. I'm scared as shit. My mom, my bio mom's in the cop car. We pull up to this house, and fear, anxiety, scared. I'm a little kid. The cops are trying to get me away from my bio mom to go inside. And I'm kicking at them, screaming.
Yeah.
I'm a kid.
Yeah. It's my fucking mom.
This is my, what are you guys doing? Y'all are crazy.
Yeah.
She's perfect. Anyway, so I go inside this house, huge house. Grace answers the door. She said, "Oh, come in." It's middle of the night. And she invites all of us in, and we sit on the couch. She brings me a glass of OJ with pulp in it. Weird how I remember that glass of OJ. Right? Just scared. It was really a very traumatic day, but hindsight, beautiful day. So we end up staying there for years and years and end up getting adopted. She adopts me and my sister, Raina. The third sister, she was older. She didn't want to get adopted, so she ends up going to another.
That's big. My wife's a social worker, and they end up splitting kids up so often because you can't find a parent to take them both. So there's something really big about you and your sister staying together.
Yeah. And actually, my sister only stayed because I was so scared to leave. They were begging me to not get adopted. But I was so scared. I got comfortable. I was so scared to leave that I was just like, no, I don't want to. But she stayed for me. Fast forward to now, this is where we get into the different culture that I was exposed to. So middle school, mind you, just to highlight my adoptive mom, who now I call mom. 100%. She is my mom.
Grace.
This is Grace Morris. Yeah. I had everything I needed, and most things. I mean, if not everything I wanted. I was very fortunate, very, very blessed, and now super grateful that I was raised in such a good culture, right? She's Filipino. So that was another unique twist too.
Yeah.
Being raised in that culture. But anyway, so middle school, my mom, my biological mom gets back in contact. And at first I'm angry, pissed off, like, nah, fuck you, whatever. But I broke down. Again, I'm still young. She had all rights terminated, so it was illegal for her to be in contact with me. So she would emphasize, this has to be quiet. It was a secret. So first visit with her, I show up and go to this apartment where there's bed bugs, trash piled. They were in the process of eviction, dishes piled up in the sink, bed bugs, just, worst condition. My sister was there. She had 2 kids, filthy. It was really bad.
And this isn't the life you've been living in, because you have, vague traumatic memories of it, but like you've now been living with Grace for years, right?
Yeah. Even still, I walk into this environment and it doesn't faze me at all. All the years of unanswered questions, right? I'm just like so excited to be around my biological
Humans
mother.
are fucking weird, aren't they? You heard weird. David and I run into this too when I said like God, mom and dad are God in the mouths of kids, and there's like really not much you can do to change that. We have this image that like they're the coolest, and it doesn't matter. Even though we know sometimes they fuck up, we're still like they're way better than anybody else,
right? And that is the philosophy and the mentality that I adopted. So I go into this lane, right? My first interaction with her, she goes to the fridge. She's like, she got that rat. She's like, do you drink, son? I'm like, yeah, of course, right? Like, this is my mom. I want to impress her.
And you're how old?
What am I, middle school? I must have been 14, 15. Okay. I'm not sure. Sure.
But it says something about somebody asking you to drink and you being like, hell yeah.
Yeah, right? This is your freaking
I'm down.
quote unquote mother.
I'm down.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I drink. She gives me the alcohol. She puts it in a Gatorade. I was like, just put it in something so I could take it with me. Put it in a Gatorade bottle. And I take it home, and my best friend, I think I'm the coolest guy in the world. So
you are. I mean, at that point, you got alcohol.
I got alcohol, right?
It's going down.
So I immediately go over to my friend's house, and I'm like, bro, come over to my house. I got some alcohol. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah. We crack open this alcohol, take one smell of it. We're like, ugh, both of us.
Yeah, right.
I put a little bit on my tongue, and I dumped it all out. I was like, this is gross. Why would anybody do this? But that was the start. That was the beginning of an incredibly difficult journey. Was that moment. That was a pivotal moment for me. Second interaction, marijuana. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth interaction, she starts convincing me that I doubt, or maybe she did know what she was doing or what, but I mean, she's grown. But eventually got me to the point where I genuinely believed that my adoptive mom did not care about me and she didn't love me. So I started acting out.
This is some therapy talking, just to flag it as we're going by. Like, you said 3 things, and I'm like, that's pretty big to be able to say, I don't know whether she realized she was doing it or not. Because the default position when we realize it is, I can't believe she fucking pitted me against my mom. And it takes realizing she is a human too. And humans tell ourselves fucked up stories about the world to keep doing what we're doing. So I'm now foreshadowing where we're going, by the way.
No, absolutely. No, hurt people hurt people. Took me a long time to get to that paradigm as well. Yeah.
Often without realizing it and with doing everything they can to deny it. Because like, it also really hurts to look in the mirror and say, I hurt somebody. So most people do everything possible to say, well, that person deserved it, or it wasn't entirely my fault, or maybe I didn't hurt him in the first place. And humans. You had mentioned, just to catch us where you were at, you also were smoking weed now. Same experience or a better experience with that?
No. First time smoking weed scared the hell out of me.
I think it does to everybody.
It scared me. But again, right, like I wanted to adopt what she was doing because I looked up to her. As terribly as that sounds, like I looked up to her and thought she was...
That's just normal, though.
Yeah, thought she was perfect, right? And in my mind, I was like, I don't care if what she's doing isn't culturally acceptable.
Right.
I don't care if I've been taught my whole life that this is wrong. I was like, this is what she's doing. I'm going to adopt this. Like, this is okay for me. Eventually, she convinces me to go on the run.
Oh, my God.
So I run away from mom and I go on the run. And mind you, I'm not supposed to be with her. And she's homeless, right? Yeah. So We're living on the streets, couch hopping from time to time. Anytime there's a cop around, she splits, eating at the soup kitchen. And mind you, I'm going from beyond comfortable monetarily to this condition.
Yeah.
So I must have been 14, 15, somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but I remember we're at an apartment and she goes in the bathroom with all of her friends. I knew she was doing other drugs.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what was going on with that. Also, all of her friends come out of the bathroom. She's still in there. I'm just watching TV. The old TV, and with the little digital box.
Oh,
and you have to catch a signal from somewhere.
Yeah, it's got to be on channel 4 and with the dial, and then
4.1. Yeah. So I'm just watching TV and stuff, and she calls me in there, sits me down. She's sitting on the edge of the tub. I'm on the toilet, and she has this talk with me, like a mom to son talk. Yeah, she's like, son, I know you're gonna end up trying this one day, and she has a bubble in her hand, meth. And she's like, and I just want to have this talk with you and let you know when that day comes, I want you to come to me because the drugs that I get are safe. I can teach you how to control this. I can show you how to do this, quote unquote, responsibly, right? And so, man, I'm sitting there. I'm literally shaking. I'm freaking terrified because the only thing that I know about meth and drugs is what I was taught in school. Your brain will fry immediately. Hooked forever. You're gonna die.
Sores, pimples, your legs falling off.
That's what I know. Yeah. But again, I'm in this moment. This another pivotal moment in my life where I'm like, I want to rise to the occasion and show my bio mom that I can hang, right? Like I want to be a part of what she has going on. So I did. I ended up smoking. As soon as I did, I was like, what was that? I was like, drugs aren't bad at all. So I'd been on medication for ADHD as a kid.
You're like, it's the same thing.
So I do it. I'm like, well, I'm used to this. I'm used to this feeling. Like,
it's a little harder.
Is this really what the whole world is causing all the fuss about? Like, this is not. Anyway, end up staying up for 3 days straight. And I'm a little kid. We go to her friend's house. They're smoking weed. And I'm used to smoking weed at this point. She passes me the weed and I take a couple of hits. I'm on my 3rd day of being awake. I take a couple hits and immediately start feeling like really off. And so I'm guessing it kind of like sped up the come down process. So I'm like, Mom, we got to go. I'm not feeling good. We get to the top of the stairs, like 3 stories of a staircase, and I pass out. I go sliding down the staircase and get to the bottom. I'm begging her to take me to the hospital. Please, please. My heart felt like it was like come out of my chest and wouldn't take me to the hospital. It takes me to the gas station, gets a Slurpee and a rag, douses it in cold, the Slurpee, drapes it over her neck, and throws the Slurpee in my face. And I snap right out of it. Perfectly fine after that. I'm like, what was that? I'm prefacing the change from the good lifestyle I was living into this different world, this different culture that I've chose to adopt at this point.
As much as anyone chooses, don't forget we're talking a kid.
Absolutely. I can look back on it and use those words.
I do the same thing.
I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
When you live in it, you're like, but I did decide. And it's hard to, like, the fact that I don't believe in free will at all, which we won't get into today, it makes it easier for me to say, like, well, yeah, and right now I feel like I also make decisions. And it doesn't mean, like, can I choose to do anyway? We're not going to do that today. My point is, to flag it as we go by, we're talking to kid.
Absolutely. And so that lifestyle, me running away, obviously I'm acquiring truancy from not going to school.
Yeah. Still in the same state, or how far did you guys go?
Yeah, same state. Okay. We're in Colorado. Okay. Yeah, this is here. Now so that's drugs, right? Now we'll get into the criminal side of where my criminal influences came from. At one point, she also showed me how to sell drugs as well. So got the scale. She'd teach me how to weigh it and bag it and do the stuff. So I was doing that for a little while. And it became my responsibility to pay for the hotel room, to my sister, who was pregnant at the time. It was my responsibility essentially to provide, right? So I became the provider, which gave me this incredible sense of power and of responsibility. It just felt so good.
That's heroin.
Right? It felt so good to be able to provide for I'm a kid. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like I can put a roof over their head. I can get high, have fun, and I can basically do whatever I want.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah.
One day, my mom introduces me to my brother, who's been in prison for a long time, very long time. She introduces me to one of his friends, and she's like, "Son, this is your brother's friend. He's a good guy. He's going to show you how to make some extra cash." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." This is a moment where I'm graduating from drug dealer, addict to serious criminal, and again endorsed by my biological mother.
Right.
So his plan was to go rob a drug dealer at gunpoint. So
you're starting in the big leagues, my dude.
Yeah. Hey, and again, my mentality is I'm embracing this. I'm at this point.
This is what badasses do.
At this point, I'm having fun.
It is fucking fun, especially it's exactly what you said. The same feeling of I can fix what I thought was unfixable and threaten my life. Hunger, shelter, love. I can actually fix it is empowering. And then realizing, wait, I can also have clout, respect, people that come to me because I have something they need. Oh, fucking awesome. That's America, man. Yeah.
And yeah, wild to hear. Wild for me to even say that those actions were fun for me or acceptable to me. And especially considering that my influences as a kid were very good. Catholic home, very moral and value driven, and here I am talking.
But it's that place beyond free will. Like that part is worth including. So we can go a little into free will. It's that space that we both would agree. You might be able to make decisions day to day, but given your early upbringing of what you're saying, like the good house and hard to complain about anything and everything I ever needed, and I was taught morals, and in this other world, you couldn't choose which of those actually impacted you more. So just because you were given this one that you had a lot of your childhood and it didn't sink in the same way as, like, you weren't listening to Grace and going, oh, that makes me so, I just want to be like that. I just want to, especially when your mom's telling you this is how you do that. And the whole mediascape is telling you, like, be the fucking badass, dude. Sell the drugs, steal the shit.
Yeah, I don't want to get off topic, but my influences at the time were all the rappers with the nice cars. And I'm like, now I'm starting to adopt that and live that. I'm like, oh, this is cool.
So anyway, we're now getting ready to go rob a drug dealer.
Yeah, so 15, maybe 16 years old at this point is when I committed my first home invasion on a drug dealer. It was actually a trailer parked next to a house. Again, extremely scared. But I was just trying to rise up to the culture that surrounded me, right? I'm just trying to adopt this mentality and this lifestyle that I keep being subjected to, right? And so from there, I've just lived that life for a little bit. Ended up getting caught with a stolen car. Ended up going to juvie. I got a 0 to 2 commitment, is what they call it. Wow. So you can spend anywhere from 0 to 2 years. I ended up doing a little bit over a year.
Did you get caught actually stealing it then? Not. So it wasn't just a possession of stuff, or did you not have the sense to say, my friend just let me drive it? Or
no, so I got charged with aggravated motor vehicle theft for a dirt bike. It was actually for a dirt bike.
So the guy was there. You took it from somebody and they saw you. It was like, okay. Yeah. That's a little out for anybody listening. If you're ever pulled over in a vehicle that you may or may not have stolen and they didn't see you steal it, you were just test driving it. And it's now receiving and concealing stolen property. Much easier to get out of jail.
And not to get off track, but the court system is exactly the same as an adult as it is a kid. And it's definitely, they use leverage and scare tactics. Same with a kid as they do an adult. Whether I was guilty or innocent, they probably would have scared me into accepting the same sentence.
We're still on the same track, especially that we've been weaving power through this. And the fact that there's something intoxicating about it, almost like we live in a culture where there's a whole lot of systems using power against us that we have no real ability to manipulate, such that when we do get a little bit of money or clout or respect or a good job, then it feels, like you said, this feels really fucking good.
Yeah.
So you're in juvie.
Yes, go to juvie. I'd be lying if I said it was a great experience for me. Hey, it sounds weird, but like going back, I can say that it gave me structure. It gave me a foundation in a weird way. It gave me a sense of community. It gave me a lot of things that maybe I hadn't had in a while. I ended up getting out of there, going to this place called the Dale House Project. It was an emancipation program for juveniles. So, it's kind of like a halfway house of sorts.
Emancipation meaning like eventually
to emancipate, basically to become an adult before 18.
Why?
Right?
So you'd kind of fallen out then with your adopted parents.
Absolutely. through my actions of what I was doing, I destroyed those relationships. I definitely put my family in a very difficult position to be scared of having me back in their house. I can only imagine, how many nights I kept my mom up, worrying about me and just all this stuff. And so it was probably difficult for her to go, okay, well, let's see how he does here, and let's get him the structure and let's go from there. So essentially it was out of necessity for sure. The Dale House Project, incredible. Met some incredible people. I'm still friends with a lot of them, from Andy Hackett to Abby to the entire team that was there. I learned all my life skills, got my first job, got my first apartment, learned how to save, got a lot of my life skills that I need, emancipated from there, living on my own with my girlfriend at the time, living good. Got my own apartment. I'm actually a trash man, making decent money.
Still doing drugs?
No,
Wow.
Wasn't doing drugs.
Wow.
Still on juvenile parole.
Probably getting dropped once a week on that.
Yeah, drug testing regularly. And honestly, at the time, I wasn't even entertaining it.
No, once you get in the right mindset, if you're not doing it, and all of us that have done it in the past, you're like, usually it's just you catch your stride, and then if you think about smoking weed, it'd fuck your day up because you'd be too high.
So reach a point where I feel like I'm doing great. Got my apartment, my girlfriend's doing great, she's working, we got a car. I'm a citizen, right? I'm a citizen again. I get off parole. I reach a point where I feel like I'm strong enough in my recovery and in myself to start helping my biological mom again. She's still homeless, still doing drugs. It's almost winter. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go take her out and take her to Walmart and buy tarps and sleeping bag and whatever she needs, right? A sense of a pride and accomplishment was, now I can support her the right way. Like, I'm going to show you, right?
And it's the person still. It's the fact, knowing that she feels like, you made me happy, or I'm so proud of you. Like, that's what we're actually chasing. Yeah. We're chasing it, and humans are fucked up because we have to have it. None of us can escape needing to feel like the people that we look up to, whether they're the ones we should or not, the ones we look up to respect us back.
Yeah. So I find myself re-entering her life and trying to play a different role, wear a different hat in the relationship.
It should be the kid trying to get his mom back to normal lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
This always works out.
It works out great. Yeah, absolutely. You're about to find out. So fast forward a little bit, I've continued this relationship. Now I'm finding myself going back to the same places I was with her friends' houses, under the bridge where she gets high. So I've been in this smoking circle where they pass the meth pipe around and they'll pass it to me. I'll pass it. Must have been in this circle 20, 30 times and said no every time. Cocky in my recovery, right? Until the day comes where my girl cheats on me. I'm struggling really bad. I go back to see my bio mom and it gets passed around. I didn't say no that time. And I made the decision at that point that I was done. I am going to 100% commit to this life. I don't know what it was, but the pain from that, I don't know. I mean,
that shit works really good. I mean, the downsides suck. But that's why we use the stuff we use.
Yeah.
That's why we do crimes. It does work really good a little bit for very few things, right? You need money in your pocket right now. Guess what? It does work to rob a fucking bank.
Yeah. I mean, it's a Band-Aid, right?
Right, exactly. It's just we don't have any better tools. We would probably do better with tools that didn't land us in prison for 10 years after we got our cash in our pocket.
And when you only have a few tools to draw from, when you're drawing from, you got a toolbox, you've got a limited supply of tools. So adopted, went right back, immediately readopted it. But this time I was committed to trying to be the best version of that I could. So whatever that means, led to now we're bringing drugs and guns into the equation, drug dealing and crime and all the stuff. I'll save you on all the details of all that, but I end up...
Is it worth it, broadly painting with a brush, the using, the addiction, the crime, the dealing? And that seems to always go together. And it's not because once we try meth, the way it works in our brain makes us want to do evil shit and fuck people's lives up. It's that we're using a substance that's really expensive, that if we're caught with a crumb of it, we can go to prison. So we have to live a certain way, and it's really valuable. So if someone steals it, we have to be willing to use violence because we can't call the cops. The system around us is set up to make sure if you are so desperate, you're turning to a chemical like that and nothing else is working. So you turn fully in and you're like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this the best I can because it's the only thing that's working at all. It's to set up to make sure that you fuck your life up, that very shortly you're out of money, you're involved with where you're going to get the shit. Not my doctor, my dealer who's like, you want some heroin too? Never tried it. Sure.
Yeah.
Every bit of it's set up to make sure that those things go together. So it's not that you're a bad dude because you did meth. It's that's what the world offers us with the system we have right now.
Yeah. The fact that I was just trying to gloss over that was I really want to be careful about like using words that make it seem like it's being glorified, or because I used words like this was fun for me, when reality was, yes, I was a kid and I was receiving like, adrenaline dumps and excitement from this lifestyle. Yeah. It wasn't until later on I started to unpack and really understand the gravity of my decisions and the impact it had on the people in my life.
And on yourself.
And on myself.
But yeah, the people in your life as well. That's the part that usually comes second for most of us. Most of us start to realize, oh shit, like heroin works really good and it's really fucking fun, but the way it works, purely biological, and the level that it works at is so, you're paying such a hefty price if you're going to use that consistently, that what you really want is something in the world that you can engage with regularly, that's healthy, that doesn't quite pay off. And that's what you're getting at, is like, as we grow, if we're lucky, we find, oh, this feels very much like this substance I used to chase a high with. It's a lot easier to just smoke the pipe. When you got to go out and get it, it's often a lot healthier. And so there's me saying, well, it can be fun, but not fun like you think. But anybody that's listened to my episodes already knows that.
Yeah. In track with heroin, right, is amphetamines, which is literally the best drug to avoid any emotional feelings, to completely disconnect from the world around you and to feel incredible about it, releasing all those endorphins and it.
Yeah, you're in the thrill of a hunt. Is like amphetamines are the epitome of how it feels to be right now. I am doing something so awesome. I'm in the zone. I'm cutting the corner. I just jumped over the thing and landed perfect. You got no fucking time to. Now, I'm sure the pain's still there, but this is why it turns it off. It completely turns on. You're focusing on something. And then again, to say, that sounds really fucking fun. So if you're thinking, I'm going to try it, don't forget that we're adding the second part, which is, where are you focusing? You're hunting nothing. So when you're on amphetamine, what you're usually hunting is, how long before I can do more? And there's no, with a hunt, or when you're searching for something and where you're writing a paper and you're in the zone, or you're shooting hoops and playing with somebody, there's an end game. And you might not always get the thing at the end. And if you don't, you're disappointed, but you know it's over. And if you do, you're fucking thrilled. And this is the heroin aspect of what heroin does. You get the thrill of the feast. Oh, I did it. With methamphetamine and cocaine, where is the thing that we're hunting? Like, we get it the second we do it, but then it engages the hunt. And we're like, well, I guess more cocaine. So the fun is like, yeah, it's really fun until you realize, like, how do I get off this stuff? Yeah. There's no end to the hunt. Yeah. Again, I'm tangenting in the middle of the story. No.
After relapsing with my biological mom and just committing, making that decision mentally that I'm going to commit to this, takes me down a path of further crime. Now we're adding guns into the equation. It's crazy how you just add a gun in your life and it attracts other people that are just as dangerous, right?
It's the same thing with drugs, right? Like, you find yourself in a room where people say, we should do this. And like, how often are you in a room with somebody that's going to say some dumb shit, but we should rob that guy? You're encountering underworld people every day. It's the only place to get the guns or the drugs.
Yep. So it definitely increased the danger level and the severity of actions at that point. Basically gave me permission to become more ruthless and aggressive to those around me as well, right?
It's that power.
Yeah. And so fast forward to 2015. In 2015, I was charged with robbery, first-degree assault, guns and drugs, burglary. 15 charges in total was what I was sitting on.
Okay. I don't usually interrupt my interviews as a general rule, but Jordan somehow managed to skip right over his arrests. So when we finished, I asked him to go back and describe what had happened between freedom and jail. Here's that story.
You know, though, I'm not going to let you get out of here without asking you about your arrest, because you just kind of skipped a piece where you were like, so I got charged with all these crimes, and I'm like, I remember especially at first when I was young, I was like, ain't nobody fucking arrested me. I'm not turning myself in. And so, like, did you turn yourself in? Were you on the run for a while? What was the arrest like?
So, yeah, I was 100%, like I said before, I was definitely very suicidal. I mean, a lot of trauma from my background, right? I made this commitment to this lifestyle. And part of that commitment was I will not go to prison. I think it's very common for people who have walked this path to make a decision and go, you know what? I'm not going to prison. I will kill myself before this, and I will, take that step.
It really is a common story. We're going to hear it in the next couple of weeks more than once.
Very, very common. Absolutely. And so I made this commitment, right? And so the day I got arrested, I had 3 motel rooms. Why 3 is because I kept getting paranoid that the cops were on me. I'd get another room and I'd get another. So
it's hard living on the run, especially when you're high. People don't get it.
Yeah. So multiple warrants, scared for my life. Yep. So here I am sitting in this room with 15 other people. Fugitive task force is at the door. I hear dogs barking out there, pounding to basically get in the room, arrest me. And I pull my gun out, and, my intent was I'm going out like suicide by cop, or I didn't know, what I was going to do, but I knew that I'm okay with what is going to happen next. And so I pull my gun out and I look around the room, and everybody is locked in on me. And I just I don't know what it was in that moment that I was able to take a pause and take stock of everybody in that room and go, this decision isn't going to only impact me. This decision is going to impact every last person in this room, and who knows who else could get hurt in this process. So I take this gun, put it back in my waistband, go and answer the door, and they...
With a gun in your waistband.
Correct.
That's some white shit, man.
Well, so and I had thought maybe I can put it under the bed, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to prison.
Oh, you don't want to get somebody else pinned with it.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to prison anyway, probably for life. Might as well not let this fall on somebody else's will. Yeah. So I did. I consciously put it back on my waistband, so I took the charge, and they arrested me. And
that was the last time you were out? You didn't get bond out after that?
No bond, no.
So what am I missing? Because this isn't even the arrest I knew about. I was talking about the other arrest that put us in the same club that we're both in.
I was arrested twice, 3 times total in my life. Okay. Juvenile, once as an adult, and then my last time I was arrested. First time as a juvenile. Second time I got arrested with guns and drugs on me. Got sentenced to 4 years at the halfway house. Ran immediately. But during that situation, I had multiple guns on me and drugs on me, and went on a high speed chase with the police. Wow. And I wasn't suicidal at that point, right? I was just simply an idiot.
Yeah. Now we're in the same club,
right?
Yeah.
I was just simply an idiot. And so I'm on a high speed chase, and the axle on my car breaks as I'm going through the alleys, and so I'm surrounded by all these cops. And for some reason, I thought that if the clip and the bullets were separate from the gun, that it was a different charge, less of a charge. So here I am, car broke, surrounded by cops. I got my ex in the passenger seat, my dog in the back seat, and I'm like taking the clips out of these guns, throwing the clips in the back of the car, and cops are at my door now. I'm realizing, I got another gun in my back pocket, so I try to take the gun and throw it behind me, like they're not going to find all this.
Right.
Like
in a car.
That they're not going to find all
We're in the same club there, too.
Hide it under the seat. That doesn't work. Well, the gun didn't have a trigger guard, and one was chambered. Gun goes off. I hear this gunshot, and I'm like looking around. The cops take off. So I'm like, are the cops shooting at me? What is happening right now? So I look at my ex in the passenger seat, and she's like, eyes huge. She's like, oh my God. My dog jumps on my lap. He's whining, licking my face. Yeah. She's like, don't freak out. I was like, what? She's like, you just shot yourself. I said, what? What are you talking about? I just shot. So I put my hand under my leg and pull it out, and it's covered in blood. It starts to, ears start to ring. It feels like there's a blowtorch, and pass out. And I ended up hitting an artery. I ended up in a operating room, had to get surgery done. Spend some time in the hospital before they transferred me to county jail. But that was the second arrest. And
so you had somehow worked out that and were on probation or something, and this was a whole separate set of cases?
Yeah. And then so it went from that incident to the second arrest.
Now that we got that part of the story nailed down, I'll pick back up where Jordan just entered the prison system.
I remember getting sentenced. Nobody was in the courtroom. Not one person was there. And at the time, I was angry, bitter, upset, right? It was like, how could they? Like, how come nobody's here for me? Where's my adoptive mom? Where's my bio mom after
Yep.
I sacrificed and took care of, where's this, where's that? Like the rules of the street, like, don't apply.
You're gonna fit right in prison.
Yeah. And so actually the judge ended up, sentencing range was 15 to 24 years. And I took the deal. They told me to be nonviolent. So I take the deal. The judge gives me 24 years and calls me incorrigible during the sentencing process. I'm 23 at this point.
Wow, incorrigible means like unfixable, like you're a lost cause.
Incapable of rehabilitation.
Yeah.
So the first 4 years of my sentence, I approached prison the same way I approached the lifestyle that I had committed to. This is going to be my life. I'm going to adopt everything that I know about it. I'm going to try to be the best of the best of this new world that I'm coming into, complemented with the fact that I'm extremely suicidal. Like I feel like I just lost my entire life, depression, anxiety, just all the stuff that encompasses that. Now becoming sober again, having to deal with all the shit that I had done.
You're taking me back, man. You're taking me back.
Right?
Can't sleep, can't not sleep, can't get out of the fucking bunk, don't even wanna. Nothing tastes right.
Correct. The worst part was when you start to sober up, you have to come to terms with the emotional damage, the failed relationships, and
all that shit that's been on the back burner because you've been hunting for the last 12 days straight, right?
Correct. And so not knowing how to deal with these things, fighting, every time they would let me out of my cell, I'd try to fight somebody. I essentially spent about a year in seg, in the hole, go to prison, and for about the first 4 years, I'm using drugs, stealing to make money, hustling however I can to make money, trying to lie and manipulate to my family and friends to get me $5. The dentist and the doctor's appointment, and I can't, my teeth are hurting. I need $5 to go see. It's embarrassing. But it just shows how an addict will do and say. And
it's hard in prison. Like, I don't have to say that, but like if ever there's a spot where somebody would be prone to look for something to fucking help them feel better, that'll do it automatically without any effort on their part, and a small amount will get the job done. I mean, it makes sense why so many of us get in there and our addictions don't get better. They get worse by the time we get out.
You absolutely have the capacity to get high every single day in prison.
If you got the money or you know somebody.
Yeah. And then also the medications that they prescribe, right? They'll prescribe you medications and those will do what you need to do too.
You're right.
And it's a source of income. But so for the first 4 years, I'm adamantly trying to get high every day, stealing food from the kitchen to make money, to support my habit, just doing whatever I can to lie, manipulate, cheat, steal, whatever I can to get these needs met. Meth, heroin, acid, spice.
Whatever acid in prison. I always pitied you guys that would do that shit in prison. Acid in prison.
Yeah, just whatever was available, right?
Yeah. And spice was really big all the way up through like 2012. I'm sure it still is there, but
yeah,
it's because of the way it works.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's easy to get in. And
No drug test. They might be able to drug test for it now.
Sometimes they can. They're always changing the chemicals on it to make it go around that stuff.
Yeah, and maybe people don't know, but when you're in prison and you get drug tested, and you have drugs in your system, you actually get in fucking trouble. Like it's still that way in Colorado, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You'll go to the hole. You won't become eligible for going into programs and stuff for up to a year, sometimes longer. It really does hinder you to pop drugs in a UA. So pursue that for as long as I possibly could, till one day a guy comes to me. This is August 10th, 2019. A guy comes to me. He's been getting stuff into the prisons, drugs into the prison, and he comes to me and puts something in my hand and goes, "Hey man, this is from last time. I still owed you. Here you go." Boom, and eyes light up. I start sweating. I'm excited. I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be great." But something different happened that day. Actually, this is really where it comes from, is the relationship with my adoptive mom, my mother. We started to communicate more frequently, and I finally began to feel this connection. Same with my adoptive sister, Janie. I started to feel this connection again with them that I haven't had in so long. And it gave me pause this time. For the first time ever, it gave me pause and went, I'm sitting there with these drugs in my hand going, you continue to do this drug and it continues to immediately destroy every relationship that you have. So I started justifying, as addicts, what we do. I'm just going to do it right now. It'll be out of my system in 3 days and I'll be good. None of the staff know that drugs are here yet, so I'll be safe. Then I was like, you know what? I'm going to put it away for a couple months, then I'll do it. And I was like, you know what? No. You know what? I'm just going to go sell this. Put some cash in my pocket. I said, you know what? What am I doing? Like selling it, doing it, holding on to it, whatever the case is, I'm still involved in life. So, mind you, maybe two hours later, sweating and
fighting with yourself,
fighting and battling and doing all the things, I finally take the drugs back to the guy and I say, hey, man, I just wanted to give this back to you, let you know, much love and respect. I appreciate you, but I'm trying to do things a little bit different. So, and he was freaking out. He's going to rat on me. I walk away from that with this feeling of power and just like this, just overwhelming, like euphoria, almost like I did get high. Yeah. August 10th, 2019 was my moment where I realized I was in control again. And from that point, I was able to, like I told him, right? Like I told the dealer, I'm trying to walk a little bit different. That is the moment where I started to learn how to be a different person, from self-help books on healthy relationships to just mindfulness techniques to this is just self-study stuff. My sister was sending me books, going to the library, trying to just really, as weird as it is, I didn't know how to have a healthy relationship. My version of healthy relationship was lying, cheating, manipulating, stealing.
Were you raised in America though? Because like you got one or two role models that tell you that's not right, and then you got 7 trillion on TV and movies and the radio and the rappers we were talking about that you're like no shit, we don't know how to live healthy. The men in this, any of them that get through their teens and aren't monsters are like really lucky. It is so easy to become a piece of shit man in the United States.
Absolutely.
This is the 10th time I've talked to somebody about their story, and very seldom does somebody say the thing that changed was, and then there's like an event that people are looking for. In hindsight, it's usually like something just got to the point where my brain had aged X amount of years and I'd had this much sobriety and I'd learned these 8 tools along the way. I wasn't even expecting to, I got this relationship and all of that went on one side of the scale and my brain was like, no. I'll say no, right? Like, what the fuck is this? Well, but there's good news there for people.
Yeah, no, and I'll add to that and say that it obviously wasn't just that one consolidated moment, right? It was the years. I'm in prison for 24 years. So it was years of all these events to take place, to continue to slap me. But yes, ultimately, that moment was the fact that I wanted a meaningful relationship with my family, right? That actually cared about me, not this false sense of, what can you provide for me? And that is where my love is contingent on how much drugs and money and stuff you can bring me, but an actual relationship.
So this is, we got to be up to what, 2019, 2020?
2019, yep. So yeah, self-help, self-study. One book that sticks out, a book my sister sent me, The 5 Love Languages.
My mom loves that book.
Yeah, it was a book that really allowed me to understand how people receive love and understand how I do.
What's yours?
All of them. Essentially, we're all of them, and it's contingent on what's going on in our lives and how things are going. We'll be dominant in specific areas, but really it is contingent on.
Sound like a man who doesn't believe in free will. Like you're saying, depending on where I'm at in my life, what events are going on, when I ate last, I might not be able to feel love the same way with one language provided me that I would this next day with the very same love language.
Correct.
Yeah, it almost sounds like free will doesn't exist unless I can just say, well, then just feel the contentment and love from the first kind of love language today. I need the... Anyway, I said we were, every time we bumped into it, I'm like, we're not doing free will today.
Yep.
So anyway, something has changed in you, and you now are... Right now, so far, just seeking a lot of this stuff out yourself. I imagine getting caught up in some of the group or signing up for some of the groups that are...
Yeah, so I wouldn't say that I'm completely convinced on all the groups and stuff yet.
Yeah, some are weird.
Still trying to hold on to this prison mentality of like, I'm too cool, right? But eventually I do. I get a job in one of the higher paying positions making license plates. So, and it's a good position. And you have to stay out of trouble. No write-ups to get this position and make $100 a month, which is prison rich.
That is rich in prison.
Prison rich. Yeah. I was doing my thing.
Normal's 18 or something still, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
22, on average, something like
$17, $18 a month for the things that you need.
Porters or cleaners or cooks, whatever.
Yeah. So I wanted to hold on to this job position that I had. Mind you, during this process, I'm adamantly trying my best to rebuild the relationship with my family. And things are going good. I'm still doing self-study. I'm going to work, trying to do the right thing, working out, just trying to live a healthier lifestyle. I get presented with an opportunity, and this is where you come into play. I get presented with an opportunity to go to college, and I wasn't able to balance my job and going to college at the same time.
Yeah, I've heard that your teacher was a dick and assigned some tough. No,
Yeah, my teacher was professor.
and the
was,
hours, and there's just a lot. Yeah, and a lot of times
terrible.
the prison, would they have even let you? I thought I remembered some of you telling me they wouldn't let some of you keep both positions.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had to choose.
So essentially, yeah, some positions wouldn't allow you to do college because it interferes with job schedule,
Yeah.
right?
And we don't pay yet. That hopefully, if you're looking to write a grant, get a hold of me. I'd love to start a program where we pay incarcerated people at least similar wages to what they're making to work as cooks. But that's beside the point. You have to now make a decision. I'm prison rich, and there's a very few number of these positions, and if I leave, it's gone. And
No, I don't. I want to backtrack a little bit. That is not beside the point. I think the point of me speaking here today is to highlight and to sort of speak my testimony to the fact that education in prison is exactly what's needed as far as real rehabilitation is concerned. Because had these opportunities I'm about to talk about not presented themselves, I would not be in the position that I am today. Not just monetarily or anything like that, but relationship wise and just where I'm at cognitively to be able to contribute to the world around me wouldn't even be in my tools to pull from. And it's at this moment that we're about to get into, going from the self-help into this lane of real secondary, post-secondary education, where my life really went from, okay, yeah, I'm working a job like a normal person and I'm doing some self-study, but moving into this post-secondary college from CU and both DU, these are the moments in my life where I really started to get good tools to pull from. People speak about education and how, I remember when the college program first came to the prison through CU, everybody was like, well, you're going to get out and never use that degree at all. You're going to, like, what's the point of a strategic communication degree? You know, it took me a while to try to wrap my head around what is the significance of education. And I've realized a degree isn't something you use to get a job. It can help you to get a job, but the purpose of education is to give you tools to pull from to be able to navigate the world differently every day. And so, yes, you spoke about earlier about how I had a terrible professor. Then, yes, you're my professor, and you put me in a lane where I think you spoke about it with David about how you assigned me
Foucault. Yeah, the panopticon.
And man, I had a mental breakdown. Man, I was throwing my paperwork all over the cell, ripping stuff up. Man, I had to go do 200 burpees to calm down. But it put me in a lane that allowed me to understand my potential and my capacity, right? You didn't do what, again, you spoke about, dumbing things down. Like the fact that you didn't, and same with Megan and the other professors at CU, nobody dumbed down anything for us, and it allowed us to rise to the occasion and to show up.
What's happening around this time and as we move forward?
Essentially, at this stage of my life, I've completely embraced education. I've realized that with each class and with each opportunity, the way I navigate the world is improving. The way I communicate with people is improving. The way I, even with staff at the prison, is improving. Like I'm learning how to, you were talking about power structures and how these systems are designed to work one way until you start to educate yourself and understand how systems work. The panopticon, right? How you start to understand how these systems are developed and how they work together or work. It allows you to start to grow. But I want to emphasize that two very important programs, the Denver University Prison Art, DUPI, which was a lot of arts-based.
Theater. They did plays 2 or 3 times a year.
Definitely.
Music videos.
That in combination with CU was responsible, huge pillar in shifting the culture inside of prison into actually giving people in there a glimmer of hope into a future when they got out, giving them tools and the ability to actually do things different. 2022, I'd had emotion pretty much since I fell in 2015. I put in emotion because, again, going back to systems, right? I was told my 15 to 24 year sentence was going to be a nonviolent case. I go there and it's I believe, hearsay crime of violence or whatever. Anyway, DOC looked at it as violent, so I'm calculated as a violent offender. which means I'm doing a lot more time. And shout out to David Carrillo, who is working against that specific thing right now. So in 2022, I was given the opportunity to go back in front of my judge, the same judge that called me incorrigible, and go in front of him for resentencing. So he has the capacity to either keep my sentence the same or give me a sentence reduction. And through the opportunities presented with CU and DU, I had a couple pieces published through Captured Words, Free Thoughts. I had participated and had the privilege of being in a couple different theater shows.
A thriller flash mob. I shit you not. I was in a cafeteria in a prison, and I saw Jordan do a part of a thriller flash mob for the warden's birthday. This is not an exaggeration. Megan can attest.
Yes, absolutely.
This was a special kind of prison, which probably deserves its own episode at some point, but I don't know as we're free to really talk about it a lot. Yeah,
absolutely. And lending to that culture shift in prison. So with that, I was able to present to the judge, here's the things I've been working on from college, 2 different colleges, giving me an opportunity to invest in my education along with other programs I'd gone into, and then taking leadership roles in the prison. My judge granted me a sentence reduction going from 24 years down to a 16-year sentence, which immediately made me eligible to go to minimum and then parole within the next year and a half, I believe. So I ended up moving to the Beacon at Skyline, which is a facility that was actually born from the DU Prison Arts Initiative.
Norwegian model, if that makes sense to anybody.
Yeah, the Norwegian, the gold standard, right? They're incorporating theater and the arts into a prison culture. Walking in those doors and having the tools that I learned from CU, DU, like 7 Habits, other programs like that, I walk into this space where now I have the freedoms to actually start implementing some of the things that I'm learning. And so this prison gave me a platform to be able to start developing curriculums, facilitating classes. Shout out to Megan Cosgrove because she taught me public speaking, which is actually I developed a course, and I leaned on both of you to help me develop that. Was able to teach other students or other incarcerated people.
This is happening a lot lately, which is great. That same with David, that while still incarcerated, they're getting incarcerated people, managing to come up with opportunities for you all to share the stuff you have with other incarcerated people.
Yes.
That's the model.
Yeah. So I got out in January 16th of this year.
Wow. So we're going on, just 11 months. So
yes.
What are you doing now?
Yes. So in the, again, back to prison. So Jacob Carlock, George Chavez, along with some other incredible human beings, they got me certified as a recovery coach. So I took my choices in APRS trainings while I was at the Beacon at Skyline, which gave me the ability to start coaching as soon as I got out. So I was actually doing roofing and restorations for a very, very short time. Transitioned into peer coaching. I was working with one organization for a short time, transitioned to an organization called Creating Connections. Incredible organization. Gave me the platform to really give back to the community, to breathe life into the community that I had just, that I had for so long spent subtracting from. John and Jennifer, owners of the organization, I'm able to give back, man. I'm able to use my lived experience from prison and crime and drugs and the stuff to try to impact the at-risk community, homeless community, people coming back into the community from prison, youth even. We have the ability to work with youth. It's given me this platform, right? And once I learned about this field, I have 100% consumed myself with understanding it and trying to figure out, because for so long, my contributions to the world have been negative. I don't care if my actions are culturally acceptable or not. What I care is that my actions are in service of other people and are for the betterment of myself and other people. Whether that falls in line with cultural norms or not is irrelevant to me. It gave me a lane that I'm so passionate about. And I'm at a point now where I'm able to entertain opening up an organization of my own through Elevate Recovery and employ and work with previous addicts, previously incarcerated, people dealing with significant trauma from their past. So essentially being able to provide a lane, opportunities for the otherwise stigmatized group to have employment, take care of their families.
On both sides, right.
And, have a higher improved quality of life, as well as have them impact 15 to 20 people in their community. Extending the contribution to the community is really where where my lane is trying to be. Right?
Yeah, and this peer support piece is like huge to me in that it's us helping us. And there's something I've talked about before, like when I go in to teach in prisons, on the way home, if I get pulled over, my felonies are not going to work in my favor. But when I'm in that classroom, something weird happens, and it makes it easier for me to connect with students, because unlike a lot of the teachers that come in that have to prove they're down or they can understand any of what's going on, I can be like, oh yeah, I've slept on those fucking cots before too. And there's something that just lets people know, one, he's been here, and then two, holy shit, that's something I could do. And this is something else both you and David are letting other people coming up behind us see, that there's possibilities. The whole idea is, if you're somebody that's on the street struggling with addiction, or you just got out of prison and you don't know who to talk to, and you're trying to not use meth, and fuck, something just happened today and you're on the verge, all of those reasons to go be able to talk to somebody like you. And then you have access to plug people into all sorts of additional services, where therapists, group sessions, perhaps people that are a little more specified, you can plug them in with methadone, or I don't know if we still do methadone, we should, but Suboxone, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But you can plug them in with a lot of these other people. But the real magic part of this is that it's people like us who are running the program. We're not walking in and immediately encountering a guy in a white lab coat with a PhD.
Correct. I'll add to that a little bit. Yes, we offer clinical support, peer services, but what I want to highlight is the word recovery. People typically associate the word recovery with addiction, drugs. That is not what I associate the word recovery with. Recovery is going from an unpleasant state of being to a more pleasant state of being, right?
Like it.
So it's treading very closely to Samson's definition of that we connect with and support any and every person who is trying to reach or begin the process of going into recovery, right? Whether that's from drugs, from past trauma, from mental health. We work with all demographics, regardless of if they're at a point in their life where they're feeling like they need to elevate. We want to be there to support that. And like you said, you're not walking into an office with somebody with a, no offense, PhD.
Yeah, right.
Right. Well,
you'll probably get one too eventually.
Well, yeah,
I just won't wear the lab coat.
But you're able to walk into a space with people who understand your walk.
Yeah.
And then after that connection is made, being able to refer resources out into the community, like, this is what's worked for me. Like maybe this will work for you too. Or what are your thoughts and experiences? And same treading with harm reduction practices.
Yeah. Anytime I hear peer recovery, rehabilitation, drug addiction treatment, almost always you're thinking 12-step based, religious oriented, without admitting it, and really based on clean and sober. And if you're not clean and sober, like, come back when you're ready to get it. And immediately you like chopped my legs off the other day and we're like, oh, hell no, man. I'm talking about if you are struggling and you want to use less, or you're thinking you want to try to get a doctor to give you Adderall to help you get off meth, or whatever the fucking thing is, I'm here to help people recover. Addiction is usually a symptom, not the cause of whatever's going on.
Harm reduction and multiple pathways to recovery. That's what makes this space so unique, is we're not religious, not necessarily religious.
Sure, welcome. Welcome if you are.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's welcome. We don't subscribe to any AA but however we utilize it.
Yeah, a lot of people, it works for a lot of people.
Some people enjoy AA. We support.
Because there's so many religious people in this country. Yes. Of course they love it. Yes. If it works for them, use it.
Yeah, our job is to support the recovery in their walk. If they want AA, we support it. If I have a client or a recovery that comes to me and says, hey, I'm going to keep using meth, but I need a job and I need to learn how to do things a little bit different, I'm like, let's go. I'm going to support you. If you tell me you want to reduce your usage by 50%, let's go. If you tell me you want to try some harm reduction practices, from Adderall to Suboxone to methadone to Vivitrol, whatever your walk looks like, I'm here to support that, right? And then to get you connected with a clinician, create a treatment plan, and that's in service of your need, not anybody else telling you what you need, but your walk, right? I think is going to be, and I've already seen it, and I can't wait for the numbers to start producing, but this relatively new service, about 4 years old now, is going to be an incredible and huge, just like your guys' programming is inside of prisons. Peer services is going to be groundbreaking in supporting our community and giving back and actually finding quote unquote, a solution to homelessness, addiction, recidivism rates, being able to connect with and support and empower. I want to highlight that, to empower the incarcerated, stigmatized, mental health, traumatized backgrounds, to empower them with a career lane and an opportunity and all these things. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
That was Geordan Morris. I'm Ben Boyce. And if you're listening to this right after it comes out, I hope everybody has a great holiday. And don't forget to love yourselves and the addicted people in your lives.
Oh, no, I definitely just want to add and send some appreciation to you, to Hartnett, to Megan, to all the professors, to DU, to my family, to peer services, to all the guys that are still locked up. But knowing that when they do get out and when they do have those opportunities, even my guys with the guys that live from TG to Juan Candelaria, if they continue to walk the right path, they're going to have an opportunity one day. And when that day comes, there's going to be something set up for them in line with peer services, using their stories to connect with the community and to give back. And again, thank you so much. Super appreciative.